Hey everybody, and welcome to Tips for Tuesday. I am in my home office tonight recording this, just in the nick of time to get it out on Tuesday. I wrote an article here. I'm going to switch screens for you and show you. I wrote this article and posted it on my website recently called How to Easily Read Your Insurance Policies and Discover Coverage Gaps. And I know that people love reading their insurance policies. I'm told that that's a favorite thing for most people to do, that it really livens you up. But in all seriousness, it's, you buy these things and most people don't know what they're buying. So I just thought I would try to lay out a simple formula that most insurance policies follow to try to make it easier for you, because you get these things and I know you probably want to know what's covered in them, and it'll help kind of enhance your conversation. Hopefully you've had some idea what you bought from your agent, especially hopefully if it was me who sold it. Hopefully but I still always encourage people to take that policy when it's sent to you and just scan through it at least. And so if you read this blog article, you'll have a pretty good idea of how to do it, and also how to spot some of the gaps that may be in your policies. If you're not a client of mine, you can follow this formula here, read through it, and if you see any issues that alarm you, contact your agent, or of course contact us, and we'll be happy to look it over with you as well and kind of help enhance your discovery of what's in that policy. So what I want to do here is, you can read the article, so I'm not going to just necessarily go through that, but what I am going to do is show you some real policies and just kind of just to show you some examples here. So I'm going to pull up first a cyber policy that I actually purchased for my agency. Here it is, if you can see this. So basically the sections here, you'll see these are the main sections: the declaration page, insuring agreement or coverage section, conditions, definitions, exclusions, and endorsements. Those are your most common sections in an insurance policy. So what the biggest mistake I see people make is that they'll go read the insuring agreement, and then maybe they'll read the exclusions, but they forget to read the definitions and the endorsements. And without reading those in context, you're kind of missing some critical components. Conditions are really important just for the sake of knowing, what you're kind of obligated to within the policy. Declaration page is kind of the summary of what's in the policy. So here's the example. So here's the declaration page, okay? Policy declaration is pretty clearly labeled there. Shows me my basic limits and kind of the summary of what's covered. Named insured, I always check to make sure that's accurate. Make sure the address and the policy dates are accurate. Make sure the limits are what I planned and the different coverages, and look for any deductibles or retentions. And then keep going, and you get to the coverage section. Now that's the part that most people know to read. So read that, obviously that's important. But then come down here, and that's just, this cyber policy has another section I didn't list, just talking about defense and settlement. Exclusions, obviously very important to know what's excluded in the policy. But then keep on coming, and then you'll see definitions. Without knowing what the definitions are in the policy, when you read an exclusion or read what's covered, you won't really know if you're reading it in context or not. And then finally, as I mentioned, the endorsement section is really important. So this policy doesn't have any real important endorsements, but a lot of times they do. So these endorsements change what you already read. So you read the coverage section, any other important sections, and the definitions and the exclusions, and then you come to the endorsements, and anything you read in the endorsements will supersede everything else you just read. If it's going to change the policy. That's what an endorsement does. So these are really important to look over. And that is it. That's all there is to it. You can master it, and you can read it as good as any insurance agent. Maybe not as good as a lawyer, but certainly as good as any insurance agent out there, and have a pretty good idea of what's covered if you follow this formula.